time to get this thing rocking and rolling.
Well, hit the music, big fella, and let's get this thing going.
All right, let's go. Hello and welcome to The Game Plan. Our show is brought to you by Bringing the Heat Media and 4D Athletes. This show is dedicated to using sports to create positive change. So be ready to get inspired, uplifted, and empowered through thought-provoking conversations specific to the world of youth sports with some of the top minds in the game. I'm your co-host, Trevor Rosenthal, MLB All-Star and single-season save record holder for the St. Louis Cardinals, with Jason Holzer, co-founder of 4D Athletes and best-selling author. Jason, good to see you, man. Ramping back up and getting back into school, some changes, heading out of summer. How's everything your way?
Yeah, man, things are going good. Both boys are in school. They're learning. I got my classes going as well, and it's really a fun time of year, because it's like baseball season's in its like last phases before the postseason. Super fun time. College football starts, NFL football starts, so it's like, and fall is just a great time of year in general, right? So not much to complain about over here, man. How about you?
Yeah, let's talk about this baseball season. What do you got heading down the stretch here this last month of baseball?
Man. I find it hard that anybody's going to beat the Phillies. I don't know about you, but the Phillies look pretty good right now. But we saw last year, though, one of those wild card teams, like the Padres recently too, man, the National League side, Padres really turned it on as well, So, but I think right now, man, if I had to bet on any team, I think I would go with the Phillies because they also have the pitching, which is key, as you know.
Yeah, the Padres are in town against the Cardinals, I believe. I've been watching the Cardinals a little bit more closely because my save record is in great jeopardy right now. I have some people messaging me, some people in the Cardinals staff, like, "Hey, he's coming for you, Mr. Ryan Helsley." And I'm like, at the end of the day, like, records are meant to be broken, and so I hold the single season save record at 48, which, to me, it was a great accomplishment, but I always had the number 50 is like, that's to me an elite number. So I'm like, when I think about Helsley, I'm like, hey man, don't compete against me. Like, go after 50. Like, see what you can do here. Like, you got a great opportunity. So it's going to be, as much as I want to stay on top, I'm also enjoying seeing somebody else get after it out there.
Gives you a reason to watch, right? Because you're like, oh well, he's only got eight. I think he's got 40 right now, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, he's at 40.
And I think they've played like the second most closest games in the major leagues. They had like almost 90 games decided within like 2 runs or less or something.
Wow.
There's some kind of crazy stat.
Which is impressive because their record isn't all that great.
Yeah, hovering around 500, I think, right? So I mean, it's you can tell you that they're in it, but it's, you play that many close games, it's tough to win that many in a row too. That puts a lot of pressure on your bullpen, like night in, night out too, as well. It feels like probably don't get much of a break.
Yeah, that's the thing about being a closer is it's getting the saves and getting out there is one thing, but it's all of the mental and physical grind that goes on when you're not out there. So I always appreciate guys because I know what it's like. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. Hey, on the American League side though, really cool story with Orioles, your good buddy Matt Holliday's son Jackson. He got sent down, came back up, first home run in the major leagues, grand slam, has been taken off ever since. So it's been fun seeing his progression as struggled the first time, stayed with it, went back down the minors, figured it out, and is doing great now. And is in his second trip as a 20-year-old. Pretty impressive.
He is very impressive. I'm biased. I'm a big fan. Matt Holliday's a good friend, and I've seen Jackson grow up. But super happy for him. Happy for him to have the success and make that adjustment. It's not easy when you're going through it. It's easy in the chair that I sit in right now, watching him. Like, hey man, just be patient. It'll all work out. But I know he might be thinking about things a little bit differently. I'm bullish. You said the Phillies. I'm bullish on the Orioles. I am excited to see how they go down this stretch run. They have a great team, a good mix of young and veteran players. So I'm rooting for them this year.
Your former teammate too here in Kansas City, they turned a heck of a season around, And it's been fun watching Bobby Witt play. Man, that guy is like the next. He's one of the best players in the Major League Baseball. Not just in the American League, but like he is something else. He's at like 350. He's got almost 30 home runs. Scored 100 runs already. So it's been fun to watch him play. And they're like a game behind the Guardians right now. So it might be a Royals Orioles ALCS this year. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Definitely. We got a lot of, this is the best time of year for Major League Baseball. So coming down the stretch, these last 30 games, and then headed into the postseason, there's nothing better in all of sports than postseason baseball. And I will stand by that. So
I gotta agree with you on that one. Yeah. Well, man, what else are we gonna talk about today? I know we got a lot of other things going on, especially youth sports, back to school. So, I thought, Trevor, we could hit in on some things about how we balance academics and athletics, especially with my kids are getting really into activities. Your girls are really into things as well. Let's talk about some key time management strategies for parents that they can infuse with their kids at home, at school. What are some things that you all do in the Rosenthal household?
yeah, I feel like I need to turn the mic over to my wife because she drives the ship in that category for sure. But it is a season where we're finding out the routine, and I think ultimately like the routine is what is most important. And I say that I mentioned my wife because we have different roles, and those roles change over time. They might change day to day or week to week. But this is a conversation that we have of I'm helping out in different areas, and she's taking the charge in other areas. And if we needed to make an adjustment, we do that. But for me in my household, a lot of my responsibility comes on talk about just waking up in the morning. I take the girls to school. I get them there. I get them there on time. I think about the car ride. I think about bringing some positive energy and just pouring into them for the short amount of time I have before we send them off to school. And then I go throughout my day and get my work done. But a part of my day and getting my work done is also preparing for where they're going to come home, right? Like my wife, I'm fortunate that she takes care of getting them after school, taking them to their activities, communicating with their teachers and coaches, making sure that everything is going smoothly, and that there isn't any crisis that needs to be addressed. And so far, so good. But then for me, once my work day ends, it's the transition into making sure there's a good meal prepared. We can re-nourish. We can sit down at the table at night, and we can eat together. And then this is what I struggle with the most is the bedtime, because Dad likes to mess up the bedtime. We're all riled up and ready to go, and we want to have fun and get that last minute of energy out before bed. But I've come to really value my bedtime, my nighttime routine. For me, myself personally, like sleep is so important, and I've had to learn this. But thinking about these kids, like they're young kids, they're growing so fast. My 6-year-old keeps losing teeth. She doesn't have any teeth right now, so you can see these physical changes with them. But then for us as adults, I think it's the same way. Like sleep's valuable to reset our mind, reset our bodies, and make sure we can wake up the next day and operate to our full potential. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. We're about a week into this new out of summer routine. And I think it's actually better to have this routine. I wish school was a little bit longer and we didn't have much of a summer break, because that's when things seem to get a little bit more out of control. Like not having like, hey, we got to wake up this time and get this place every single day. So I don't know. What about you, Jason? What's your home looking like right now? I know it's different for you, right? Because you're an educator, and so you have kind of like a dual role in this.
Well, so we kind of have a 7 and 7 rule. So at 7 o'clock we start our bedtime, and then they have like your typical. They have like 10 minutes to themselves to wind down. They have 10 minutes to take a shower. 10 minutes to journal, to read. We read to them, that kind of stuff. Just to kind of keep that consistent. That's if there's nothing like an evening activity that's going to take us past 7 o'clock, right? And then we have them alarm set for their Alexas or whatever you have. 7 o'clock the next morning. Now, for somebody, it depends on when your school starts, that kind of stuff, right? But the key is, again, consistency, right? So, and we got to be out the door by 7:25. So what we did, we made it fun. We had one of those little shark, robot things that sweep your floor. And if that goes off and we're like, oh no, the robot's gonna get us, we gotta like jump in the car, right, and get in there before 7:25. So the boys have a lot of fun with it. Now, my kids are 5 and 8, so if you have older kids, maybe you might have to find something else that's more kid appropriate. But I think the key is like, how do you make your routine fun? How do you make it consistent? Where it's like they're excited to jump in the car to get to school, and there's also a bus that comes too around to pick up the other school kids. So if we don't beat that bus, we're stuck behind this bus that just stops like, and so the boys are like, we gotta beat the bus, we gotta beat the bus. It's like jumping in there, like, and so it's so that's kind of what we do as far as like a routine to get them up and get them to bed. And our goal is also to keep it like lighthearted and relaxing as possible too. We like school is stressful enough, that kind of all that. So how can we be like a great start to their day where they can go in and have a lot of fun because their morning started off in a positive way with starting with us at home, right? That's where the key is, like it starts at home. So that's something that we do as far as like, bedtime, evening time. And then my wife, again, like you said, she does a great job with this. When they get home from school, they have 20 minutes to just decompose. They can play games, they can run outside or whatever it is, 20 minutes. But after those 20 minutes go off, okay, now one kid uses my office, another kid uses my wife's office, and they got to get their homework done. I typically write my son is in second grade a little note, say, hey, man, you got this. I believe in you. Dad loves you. Just some things to keep them going and encourage them to do, because schoolwork is tough. I remember being in school. It's like you learn a bunch. You're trying to figure things out. So, we have those routines of before school, after school, and at night that I think really try to help them set them up for success by being consistent. They know what to expect.
Yeah, I love a couple points that you mentioned in there with the intentionality of keeping it lighthearted, relaxed, because I don't know about you or anybody listening, it's easy to get frustrated when you're waiting on somebody to brush their teeth in the morning to get out the door. It's like, hey, let's go. Like you've had plenty of time. How have you not tied your shoes yet? Like we got to, this robot shark is coming. So I just wanted to reemphasize that point. I think that's very valuable as adults, as parents, and dealing with young children. I mean, it's easy to forget that their minds aren't as evolved as ours, and their sense of time, their sense of priority doesn't quite align with a mature adult. So great job pointing that out.
Yeah, I mean, like my 5-year-old has no idea what time it is, right? He's in kindergarten. He's like, that, nor does it mean anything to him either. Like he's like, okay, it's 7 o'clock. What does that mean? But something fun like the Robbie shark going off. He's like, oh no, the shark's about, and he's always boom. So it's, anyways, it's just, and again, you got to keep it age appropriate, but that's the phase we're at right now in life. And so I think the fun challenge will be as they get older is like, how do I keep it more fun for them as they continue to grow and learn? So
yeah, how do you manage with different tasks, especially with a busy schedule? You mentioned coming home from school. There's homework to be done. There's reading. There's journaling. There's all these things that we would like to accomplish each day, and then you throw in sports activities on top of it, and our window to really get these things done, it shrinks. Is there something that you do to create a priority list? Do you make a list, or what does that look like for you?
Well, I think you gotta, and we talked about this before, but your schoolwork has got to get done first, right? The things that are going to take you the furthest in life, more than likely, your health and well-being and your academics, and then also like who are you as a person too, right? Because you can have all the knowledge in the world, you can be very healthy, but that doesn't mean you're going to be doing great things in the world too. So we talk a lot about building character, getting our schoolwork done, taking care of ourselves, and then that leaves you time. And what I try to emphasize my boys is like, hey, the more you get these things, yeah, you need a little bit of break when you get home, 20 minutes, that's fine, all good. But the more you take care of things that need to be taken care of, then you actually have more time to do things that you want to do. If you lollygag around and you kind of procrastinate and you don't take care of the things you need to take care of, well, that cuts into time of things that you're going to want to do and have fun with. So, prioritizing the things that need to get done. What are the things that we need to get done today? And then once we get those done, then that gives us time to have fun. Like last night, I'll give you a good example. My wife, she's helping coach volleyball, so I brought the boys home. It was about 5 o'clock or so, and I set them up. I was like, "Daddy's gonna cook dinner. You guys have 25 minutes to get everything done." I set it out for them. Here's what you need to get done. If we get this done, we can go downstairs and play this new game called catch ball that we played in the basement. The kids have had it's like a volleyball modification game. They're like, I came in here. My son was playing with my desk because it kind of goes up and down to stand. He was like, I was like, "Hey, bud, simple reminder: you can play with the desk all you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if you don't get your math done, we can't play." And it's like, yeah, okay. So you got refocused, and so I think it's like for every family is different, but prioritizing the things that, okay, what do we make sure we need to get done on a daily basis? And then what are the things that we want to do so that way we have that little carrot on the end of the stick that, hey, we get this done, there's the reward of the end, there's the fun on the end of it, right? So that's how we've done it, is just prioritizing those things of we know these need to get done because these are what's going to be best for us. And then how do we add in the fun after that to give us that motivation to get things done that we need to get done?
Yeah, I feel it works both ways too, because by the end of the day, even as parents, our energies, our batteries are starting to get drained, and to be intentional about it, to have a plan before you get into the stressful situation of how you're going to handle it is so important. And I think, just going over, like, that's what our show is all about, right? The game plan. We're just trying to have some quick reminders, maybe some useful tips, some things to keep on your mind throughout the day of, hey, this 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock rolls around. I've been working hard all day. I'm tired. And now we got a house full of kids coming in, and their response to tiredness is sometimes displayed in energy, and how to direct that energy to, like what you're saying, of reminding them, hey, these are the things that are important. These are the things that are going to get done. I love that you pointed out too, like, hey, this is going to allow you, if you get these things done, you're going to have more time to do exactly what you want. And that's a life skill, talking about keeping character traits at the forefront with these children, whether it's through school, whether it's through sports. We're both sports fans, obviously. We think sports is such a valuable venue to create these important life skills, and to keep those at the forefront is, for me, what I enjoy the most about as a parent. It's hard right now, but the thought of, in the future, of my children looking back on the work that we did as parents, of saying, hey, I appreciate you instilling some of these behaviors in me, reminding me, and also displaying them. And we talk about this too, like, our actions are going to speak louder than any words we say. If they see dad, every night he's cooking the dinner and he's getting it on the table around the same time, this is important. Our nutrition is important, and he's prioritizing it. He's not delaying. And one day they'll learn, when they become parents of their own, or have jobs of their own, they'll realize, yeah, my dad was probably tired when he was going through all this too. It might not have been the exact thing that he wanted to do. I would rather sit on the couch and watch a baseball game for sure. But yeah, anything else? What do we got?
Well, I have a question for you, Trevor. So you have girls, they're very involved in their gymnastics. How have you been able to either not just manage expectations for them, but also challenge them, like meet them where they're at, right? Okay, they're age, keep it age appropriate. Understand that, hey, whatever sport you're at, you're probably going to be able to do this much just based on your age. Doesn't mean you can't get better. So what are some ways that maybe you found to help manage expectations for parents on kids' activities, so that way they have a great experience with their sports activities?
Yeah, I think it's, for me, like, I have a unique perspective, and it most likely falls in line with a lot of parents. And this goes back to my childhood. And I think a big reason why I was able to have long sustaining success as an athlete is because, for the most part, in my childhood, my parents were kind of hands off with the sports activities. They, let my coaches do their job. they let my interest and passion grow in the sport, without making it this bigger than what it was. Like I could kind of develop my interest at my own pace. And I think every kid has a unique skill set and unique gifts to them. And for me, it was in sports, and my parents nurtured that and encouraged it. But it was never it the priority of sports and my athletics was down the line. And so I'm taking that same approach with my kids. When they come home, whatever they want to talk about, we'll talk about it. Obviously, I'm going to ask them about their day. Obviously, I'm going to ask them, if there's anything challenging that they faced. But hey, like, you're a kid, I'm a dad. I want to be a dad, and I want to enjoy our relationship. And if a certain topic comes up, we're talking about gymnastics. So my oldest daughter, she is a high level gymnast for her age. She is 10. She's about to be 11 years old, which is crazy to me. Gymnastics is a whole different world. And so she trains gymnastics 5-6 days a week. Like, this is something that she really enjoys and she's good at, but that's not something that we talk about very regularly, at least with me, between her and I'm more checking in on her as a person. And like we mentioned, developing those character traits of, hey, like, are you being a good friend? And what do your friendships look like? What's your schoolwork look like? Are you reading? Are you struggling in a certain subject? And so, yeah, I mean, in a roundabout way, I don't know if I answered the question exactly, but I try and just keep the sports, keep the extracurricular activities in the proper perspective and not make it to seem like, hey, and this is a good way. And this is where I think I can, speaking from some parents and some relationships that I've witnessed and how parents approach youth sports is, and you got to put yourself in the seat of a kid. If you're always asking them about their sports, or, hey, you did so good here, or, hey, you didn't do good enough here, what was going on? If your conversations more than half the time are centered around those subjects, they're going to develop a sense of self-worth that is attached to that activity. And that's just something I want to be conscious of and avoid, and more thinking long-term versus just the short-term right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's I like how, your conversations are, only if they're brought up organically, talked about, what they're involved in. And it's more of like just letting them have that experience for themselves, right? And then fostering that internal drive. I think, like you mentioned, that's what's going to keep them involved in anything, is that you support that internal want-to, right? So,
and it's sad. It's sad as it is to give that space to your children, because as a parent, like, you want to protect them, you want to help them make these choices and help them make the best choices. But at the end of the day, you can't. You have to let them be their own person. And I've as my kids have gotten older, like I mentioned, my oldest daughter is 11, so they're still relatively young, but I've been so amazed just to see them as an individual, them grow on their own in ways that even if I was trying to control, I wouldn't be able to. They're going to go out on their own either way. So yeah, taking a backseat sometimes, especially as a parent, is difficult, but we have to understand, like, these individuals, these little humans that we're raising are beautiful, beautiful people. And, we just need to be there for them when they need it, and be the example at the end of the day.
I think that leads right into like our last, topic here of like, how do you, become a parent that shows like our role of supporting them? And I think it goes back to just encourage them to be consistent and ask them questions like, hey, is this something that you still really enjoy doing? You've said you wanted to. Do you want me to hold you accountable? What kind of fan do you want me to be? And just, you're going to get a lot of insight on who they are and why they're doing certain things just by asking those kind of questions, because you got to make sure that your goals for them and their goals are on the same page, because if they're not, that's whenever there's probably a lot of like misconnection, right? Is where like, if I think my kid's going to be this, and this, and he's like, I just want to go out and hang with my friends, well, that's a whole different line of expectations. So I think having that conversation is like, hey, buddy, okay, you want to play baseball this fall? Cool. Why do you want to play baseball? Do you want to play baseball because your friends are playing, or do you want to get good? Like, do you want to really improve at it? I mean, because those are, if it's just a completely different conversation, right? Based on what they tell you, right? If they say, I just want to go play with my friends. Cool. All right. Well, Sounds good. Just know that you might miss a lot of balls, you might strike out a lot. Are you okay with that? Just setting them up for like, okay, if that's your expectation, all good, man. It sounds fun. I'll have a lot of fun watching you. And then if they're like, well, I want to get really good at catching. Well, if we want to do that, maybe we should practice more in the yard. And I'm happy to play catch with you, right? Maybe we should go to the batting cage. I'm happy to take you to the batting cage if that's what you want. I think it's using those kind of questions to really foster like how much you're involved with him too.
Yeah, I appreciate you pointing that out. And it just goes to show how much expertise you have on this subject, Jason, as a coach, as an educator, and as a co-founder of the 40 athletes, which provides these types of resources for parents and coaches to help prioritize these types of these conversations. And I can give an example speaking from experience within my household. My oldest daughter, she is this elite level gymnast right now. She just truly is, and it's caught us by surprise. This isn't something that we expected, and she loves it, and she has that competitive edge. But then contrast that with our second daughter, who has had this, obviously the same parents, the same types of opportunities, the same type of experience, and almost identical training in the sport of gymnastics, but her approach is much different. She falls way over into the category of, hey, like this is fun. I like the social aspect of the sport more than the competitive aspect of the sport. And it's been an adjustment. It's been something as parents that we knew one way with our oldest daughter. We went about it this certain way, and you just expect, okay, the next one's going to fall along the same line. And that hasn't been the case. So we've had to approach her a little bit differently. Those types of conversations you're talking about, with asking questions, asking about their goals, their interests on both sides of the coin, right? Like making sure that we're not pushing our older daughter too hard, making sure that we understand our second daughter's priorities with the sport. And those have been really valuable for us to kind of adjust us as parents. And it's an ongoing thing. I mean, I don't think there's ever a time where we're going to feel like, hey, we've won, this is all over, we got to figure it out. It's hard work, but well worth it, especially in this aspect of being intentional as parents and coaches of our role.
Yeah, and your kids are going to be evolving, changing. They might have different interests as they get older, and so I think it's good to be consistently asking those questions too, and meeting your kids each individually as they are, right? And it's easy to fall in the trap of like, well, I did it one way with this kid, it worked. It's obviously going to work with this one, and that's most of the time probably not the case because, well, quite frankly, they're just two different people here. So, well, man, great show, Trevor. Let's do a quick recap here. So, I think a big thing is for parents here is create that morning, afternoon, evening routine and to have the discipline to stick with it. I think that's key, right? Is just to know, the more your kids can know what to expect it's coming, the easier it is and the better day they'll have. And keep it lighthearted, right? Keep your expectations age appropriate as well. That's number two. Ask them, right? Ask them what they want. Especially like, with school though, expectations might be a little bit different as long as they're giving their best. I don't expect my kids to be all straight A students by any means, but I do expect their effort to be at their best. So, any other recap that you have that you like to share with us too, Trevor?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it with my relationship with my oldest daughter and her gymnastics. And I see how hard she pushes herself. I see how much she loves it. But number three, keep it fun, keep it even, keel, and relax. Leave that line of communication open so you can hear the feedback and you're not dominating the conversation. Ask your kid the questions again. That conversation, asking them questions. What kind of fan do you want me to be? How much do you want me to push you? And this has come into effect with my background in professional sports. There's so much information I could give her right at 10 years old of, hey, this is what you should eat. This is how you should sleep. This is how you should train, lift weights, condition, all these sorts of things. But finding that rhythm, finding the comfort that we can have to where I can share this information and not overwhelm her or make her feel like, hey, my dad only wants to hang out with me when he's training me for sport. So yeah, number three, keep it fun, keep it even, keel, and relaxed.
Yeah. Well, Travis, great show as always, man. We got some great guests coming up, especially as we evolve this show called The Game Plan. Looking forward to some people to really give us some great insight on this world of youth sports and really life in general, man. So make sure you follow Trevor on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn as well, and share with that coach or parent athlete in youth sports. It could be the difference in not only their parents' lives, but their kids' lives as well.
Yes, and also be sure to check out 4dathletes.com. That's the number 4, letter D, athletes.com. Check out the resources for parents, coaches, and athletes. Follow 4D Athletes and Jason on social media as well. Like you mentioned, Jason, we have a lot of dynamic content coming your way, so be sure to tune in. We appreciate all of our listeners. We would really love it if you would share the show with somebody, especially if you found something that we talked about valuable. If there's a topic that we haven't discussed or a certain guest that you would like us to have on, leave a comment. Please rate and get involved in the conversation. We want to hear from our fans and build this community to better our next generation.
Yeah, that's a wrap for this episode. Also want to wish all of you all the best of luck in your new seasons of school, sports. Go out there, have fun, and really just, if you're a parent listening, just sit and watch and enjoy watching your kid play. All of us hang up our cleats, our shoes eventually, but I found it really enjoyable just being able to watch them play and have fun with their buddies. So if you like this episode, give it 5 stars, leave a review. Thanks for tuning into the Game Plan, and we will see you next time.